I think that the mushroom has an immense role to play in the human drama.
What do you mean symbiosis? What do we give the mushroom?
We give it hands. It has no power to manipulate the environment. It touches the environment as lightly as a...
You think it's an intelligent thing that needs expression through human mind and body?
Well, that's one idea that I have entertained, that it's some kind of thing that blew in here a long, long time ago. And it, as I was saying earlier this morning, we will come to live in the imagination. If you look at the mushroom, it looks like an organism that engineered itself that way and said, let's de-emphasize our bodies, let's reproduce by spores, let's be primary decomposers, let's get out of the food chain, let's spread ourselves as lightly as cobwebs through the ecosystems we inhabit.
But see who eats us first?
And see who eats us first. But it seems to have like a database of intelligence that is transplanetary. And we don't know what kind of a barrier space represents to the drift of life. We've only known about DNA since 1950. Presumably, any civilization with a full understanding of DNA could design itself and create a karmaless body, an eternal style, an enormous telepathic capacity. So, the mushroomhood may be something that we're headed for, or at least it may serve as a natural model for a new style of organic existence as the shedding of the monkey begins to be progressively accelerated. It's perfectly clear that I don't think we can go to the stars as hairless monkeys. It's just bad packaging. It was great for the conquest of a terrestrial environment, but if we're serious about taking our place in the hegemony of galactarian civilization, then I think considerable downsizing and repackaging is going to be necessary for that. And the spores offer a good blueprint for that. The spore is this tiny microscopic capsule of genetic material that is surrounded by an organic layer of material that's as electron dense as many metals. And I maintain that these spores, in fact, percolate through space, that they can survive the conditions of extraterrestrial environments. If you want to store mushroom spores, you essentially store them in liquid nitrogen. It's about as outer space-ish as it gets. And you can calculate, if a single mushroom sheds 3 million spores a minute for 6 weeks, I'm telling you, there are a lot of spores being shed into the terrestrial environment, and then they percolate, and some percolate out into the outer atmosphere where they become involved in highly energetic events that actually detach them from the terrestrial environment. And I think one of the easy predictions you can make, it's like a knockoff, and yet it would be at the cover of Time magazine. It's perfectly obvious that space is no barrier to certain viruses and spores, and that one of the future revolutions of biology will be, this will somehow be proven. It's always puzzled me, and some of you have heard me talk about it, that psilocybin is an indole which is phosphorylated in the 4 position. This is chemist talk, but the important thing for our discussion is it is the only 4-substituted phosphorylation of an indole on this planet. And that's very weird. Why? The way you would expect chemical evolution to work is if you have molecule A, then you should find molecule sort of A, and nearly A, and A plus 1, and A plus 2. But here's a molecule just boing It has no near relatives. I think, one kind of mentality looks for extraterrestrial life by sifting for radio signals with a telescope. I think one way to look for an extraterrestrial thumbprint would be to search and make a thorough molecular category of categorizing of the molecules on this planet to see if there's anything that looks like it blew in from somewhere else. And psilocybin would be a strong candidate. What is it doing in some 40 species of mushroom? There are hundreds of species of mushrooms which do not contain psilocybin, proving, therefore, that psilocybin is not somehow a necessity for fungal existence. Well, then if you believe that evolution operates with a certain economy, then why do these 40 species furiously dedicate a major portion of their metabolic budget to making a metabolite that seems to have no purpose?